Alright, and here's the Spence Field Shelter we stayed last night. It was jam-packed. Alright, it's 8:51 coming out of Spence Field Shelter. And I guess this is Spence Field, or part of it. Alright, it was cold last night. It was definitely mid-30s, if not colder. But we're off. And it was busy at the shelter. It sleeps 12. And there were definitely some overflow people that tented around too. So there was a lot of people. They referred to themselves as the final bubble. And it was a bubble. I would call that a bubble. You know, at least a dozen of them all hiking around each other. Fortunately, I think we're not going to see most of them at the next shelter. So we'll have a little more space. But it was fun. They watched a movie. They watched the Knives Out movie up in the upper deck. So I fell asleep to that, like I always do with movies. So anyway, it was fun. All right, we're climbing to Rocky Top, and it's steep here, but only about 1 or 2/10 of a mile. Yeah, I'm looking straight ahead. That's where we came from. Up on Rocky Top.
Harassed.
All right, it's about 2:45 to 3 in the afternoon, and we had lunch at Derek Knob Shelter, and that was an awesome place for lunch when your things have been wet in your backpack, because I was able to just throw it on, throw all my wet tent and stuff out, and while we were eating lunch it all dried. So we're all dry, and had a good lunch, caught up with people that were hiking around, seeing where everybody's going. Sounds like we're gonna have a decent crowd again at our next shelter. Not with the bubble, but a lot of other folks. There's a mixture of section hikers and through hikers. So, all right, let's go. All right, it's almost 6:00 p.m. and this is Siler Bald Shelter. All right. Do we look cold? Is there a way to look cold? Because I look cold. I feel cold. I was able to get a little cell service and saw the temperature was 32 degrees for several hours actually. So it's 7:20. We just left Siler Bald Shelter, and you can see we're hiking in the fog again because it rained last night, and I think at starting about 3 a.m. and then at some point like 5 something, I think it started sounding different, you know, the rain as it hit the tin roof, more like a freezing rain. So that was interesting, but fortunately we're not having to hike in that as long as it holds off. The weather report said it's clearing, so clearing by 9 o'clock, so hopefully we are in the clear. All right, day 4, here we go. We're heading to Newfound Gap today. Gonna see Clingman's Dome as well. Just another walk in the park at 5,000 something feet, maybe 6,000 feet at this point. There's ice forming on these trees. We have not been able to shed any layers because it's real cold. It's I think it's 9:30 or something, or no, it's 10:30. So yeah, not much for visibility, but we're climbing to Clingman's Dome. I think we're about a mile away, something like that, and we're climbing. Oh yeah. This is the walkway up to Clingman's Dome Tower. Right here. This is not pleasant, guys. It's so cold. There's ice forming on the railing. A little bit of visibility though. That way would be Mount LeConte to the north. We came from this way. You can see the icy side there. That's where we were hiking, along that icy ridge. And then you can also see we hiked along there. And then there's part of Fontana Lake, I guess, right there. And that's where we started, at the dam. All right, it's almost 2 o'clock on day 4 of the section hike, which is our last day. And we've got something like 3.5 miles left, and you can tell by the accumulation of this hail or frozen rain, whatever you call it, that hasn't really warmed up. We're still at elevation, definitely over, we're probably around 5,000 feet still. We just climbed Mountain Collins, and then hopefully we'll be cruising on into Newfound Gap in the next few miles. On we go. So the trail's been pretty muddy, but they're trying. Look at this, got a bridge and everything. Cool. All right, so it's warming up a little bit. We're not in all that wind, and so I shed a layer, got rid of my rain jacket, and downgraded my hat to the buff. Starting to hear road noise as well. And so it's the part of the show where I get a little reflective on the trip, so I can look back and remember what it was like. I feel like, to sum it all up, I feel like we leveled up. We leveled up our backcountry skills, mainly around the elements. So, meaning like we had thunderstorms right off the bat, then it got cold, and then we had more rain, and then it got really cold. Well, then it got cold, and then rain, then more cold, even more cold. Today was high elevation, a lot of climbs, a lot of steep climbs. The whole trip, really, the Smokies has some steep ones. And yeah, so just the terrain, the weather, just, you know, staying warm in that, and high winds at the elevation and all that stuff. So just managing the, you know, the wetness of your gear and all that stuff. I think we leveled up. That's how I would summarize this trip. It was not an easy trip for both of us. So, you know, we did 11 and 12 mile days, which isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things, but for us at this time, it, you know, it stretched us a little bit. So, you know, given the elements and extra clothes in our pack that we had to pack. So anyway, I'm very glad. Oh, I am very, very glad to be done with the Smokies. Super beautiful. There's no place on earth like it, but I'm glad to get it checked off. And then we'll be heading north. The next trip, north of the Smokies. Awesome. All right. Came across the wildlife barrier. I think it's for like hogs. There's like wild pigs, so they can't get up here. They don't like to walk on this. All right. It sounds and looks like we're rolling in on Newfound Gap. I'm very happy for that. It's a great feeling to finish up this section. Woo! Way to go!